welcome to The Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Steve Van Adderstein, and thank you for joining me today as we go through and we read May 2nd's reading of James Allen's Daily Meditations. Yesterday's was a whole experience. There was the poem format mixed with the master and pupil format, or Aeolist and prophet format. It was very interesting. And I very much enjoyed it, though, and I love how it ended with "He findeth the truth who findeth self-control." That was a great line to end that with. So I'm looking forward to today's. This will be fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning this will be the first time I hear or see this meditation and reading today right on this podcast. So you'll get my genuine response, reactions, and observations, and what I relate to about the reading as we go through and read it. So I'm looking forward to it. So here we go. James Allen's daily meditation for May 2nd. Not in any of the three words can the soul find lasting satisfaction, apart from the realization of righteousness. Every soul, consciously or unconsciously, hungers for righteousness. Every soul seeks to gratify that hunger in its own particular way, and in accordance with its own particular state of knowledge. The hunger is one, and the righteousness is one. But the pathways by which righteousness is sought are many. They who seek consciously are blessed, and shall shortly find that final and permanent satisfaction of soul which righteousness alone can give. For they have come into a knowledge of the true path. They who seek unconsciously, although for a time they may bathe in a sea of pleasure, are not blessed, for they are carving out for themselves pathways of suffering, over which they must walk with torn and wounded feet. And the soul will cry out for its lost heritage, the eternal heritage of righteousness. Blessed are they who earnestly and intelligently seek. That was awesome. What I related that to, and what it reminded me of, and in the 12-step recovery rooms, we talk about the hole in the soul, that level of comfort and belonging and love and warmth that many people seek out in external things, some in drugs and alcohol, some in other people, some in unhealthy relationships, some in gambling and sex, some in a multitude of ways. Some in just and some run away from the feeling and numb the feeling and distract it with video games. Or video games are addictive as well. But we are a culture. I don't know. Maybe that's too broad of a term, too broad of a phrase, but there's many people that are feeling this hunger within them, right? And how we resolve that hunger, how we satiate that hunger, how we actually fulfill that hole. There's a lot of paths to get there. But it's seeking righteousness is what he's saying here. So here we go. Let's read this again. This first line I find interesting. I'm not sure I understand it. Conceptually I understand it, but specifically I think I'm missing something. The first line says, "Not in any of the three worlds can the soul find lasting satisfaction, apart from the realization of righteousness. And maybe I'm wondering what three worlds, because it's the materialistic world, maybe it's material past and future, anxieties and fears and depression, and then pleasure-seeking behavior. I don't know. I'm not sure what the three worlds there is, if I'm honest with you. But whatever they are, the reality of truth and righteousness is not within them. And that longing in the soul, apart from the realization of righteousness, nothing can fill. Nothing will truly fill that hole. There will be things, like I said, that fill it temporarily. There will be things that distract you from it. There will be things that numb it. But the only true puzzle piece that fits in that hole is righteousness and truth and this spiritual lifestyle. So here we go. Every soul, consciously or unconsciously, hungers for righteousness. Every soul seeks to gratify that hunger in its own particular way and in accordance with its own particular state of knowledge. So, this plays into a lot of things right here, right? Every soul, consciously or unconsciously, right? And I've been in both states. I was in an unconscious pursuit of righteousness for a long time and didn't realize that's what I was seeking, right? I didn't even know that was what I was headed to find. But I was doing anything and everything I could to fill that hole, to satiate that hunger, to just to feel okay. And unconsciously, I was hungering for righteousness. And every soul seeks to and now consciously I seek righteousness and I hunger for righteousness. Every soul seeks to gratify that hunger in its own particular way. So all of our souls will have their own flavor on how to get rid of it and on how to fulfill it. And in accordance with its own particular state of knowledge. That's why some people choose one lane of things. That's why other people choose one other line of behavior. It's pick your poison, really, but none of it's going to work. None of it will work. Anything you're using to fulfill yourself from inside of this world materialistically, whether that be a thing, a title, or a person, will not work. You might get temporary relief, but you will not get freedom from that hunger. But the path we choose, the temporary solutions we try to make work permanently, is in accordance with its own particular state of knowledge. What we know we will do to feed that. The hunger is one and the righteousness is one. But the pathways by which righteousness is sought are many. They who seek consciously are blessed, and shall shortly find that final and permanent satisfaction of the soul which righteousness alone can give. So, it's all a journey. That's one thing I want to stress. We might pick the wrong things, but if we practice awareness, if we practice understanding, if we keep our eyes and our minds open, we'll understand that those things we have tried are stepping stones on the path of the realization of righteousness. They are not things to be ashamed of that have happened. For myself, I had to drink every drink and drug every drug and have every single bad relationship that I had. And every other distraction along the way. to understand that there was something I was trying to fulfill, something I was trying to treat within my soul, right? And thank God I had those things when I had them, though. Let's be, this is sometimes a controversial perspective to take, but that pain was so deep for me, that hunger was so strong, it was killing me. And without those other things to temporarily quench it, as I walked this path and I took this path of righteousness, without those things, I would have died a long time ago. I would have killed myself due to that feeling of isolation, emptiness, hollow living. So I say I'm grateful for all those things because they were all a path in the journey of my life to righteousness. I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know that's where I was looking for. I didn't understand what I was trying to do. But today I do. And today I can be grateful for those things as well. Let me reread that last part. They who seek consciously are blessed and shall shortly find that final and permanent satisfaction of the soul, which righteousness alone can give, for they have come into a knowledge of the true path. We're talking about truth again, this true journey, walking the spiritual walk, this narrowing path of righteousness, of truth, of spirituality. When we have come into knowledge of the true path. And there's almost relief in understanding that that's what we are seeking, because then we have a direction to take. We're not mindlessly grabbing for temporary solutions, temporary pleasure-filled seeking. They who seek unconsciously, although for a time they may bathe in a sea of pleasure, are not blessed. And like that was my experience, because, you fool yourself into thinking you're living a good life when you live a life fueled with drugs and alcohol and all the other things that I've talked about on this podcast. You lie to yourself. And you think just because you're high and your brain's flooded with dopamine and you have a chemical feel-good in that capacity, right? Because that's what it is. It is a chemically induced feeling of well-being or ecstasy or elation or numbness, whatever you're doing that day. But those who seek unconsciously, although for a time they may bathe in a sea of pleasure, they may think in those moments that they are living the best life. Why would anyone else choose to live differently than the way they live, right? I had that thought in the beginning. But those are the people that are not blessed yet. For they are carving out for themselves pathways of suffering. That's what everything I did. I carved out pathway for me to suffer more, because I was driven by my emotional states, my passions, my self-serving mentalities and perspectives. That is exactly what happened. I carved myself out pathways of suffering, over which they must walk with torn and wounded feet. The journey gets so painful when all you know to do is the same thing you've always done, full well knowing the result will not be any different. You become wary and just want to give up. Torn and wounded feet. What a beautiful picture that is. Just metaphor for how this journey can go when we're trying to medicate ourselves and fulfill ourselves with anything but righteousness. He finishes the main body of this with, and the soul will cry out for its lost heritage. the eternal heritage of righteousness. So we will come to a point of desperation where we have to understand that way we do things, the way we are getting fulfillment or pleasure in our lives, or those temporary fixes, that without we will still be suffering. We come to a point of desperation where we can't do those anymore. They become so taxing on our lives and demand so much of us just to maintain that temporary relief, that we want that permanent satisfaction of the soul. And that's when we have that turning point, the jumping off point of, where do I need to go? How do I need to find this? What is it that I'm looking for? And we find this path of righteousness. He ends this reading with, "Blessed are they who earnestly and intelligently seek." Just continue to seek. After you find this path of righteousness, seek out it as anywhere you can, in all areas of your life, in all things that you practice, and all things that you read and conversations that you have. Seek out righteousness. Seek out this spiritual living. It will do nothing but help you, improve you, purify you, your heart, your thoughts, and your actions. Blessed are they who earnestly and intelligently seek. So intentional. We have to be intentional here. And when we find truth, find righteousness, find love, find the spirituality of this world, we will find that permanent satisfaction of the soul. Almost gives me chills. But, okay. Stunning. Absolutely stunning reading today. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope everyone that jumped on and listened enjoyed it as well. And I am certainly looking forward to tomorrow to see I don't know how you even follow that up. That's a pretty great meditation there. Great meditation. So, but thank you all for joining me today, and I look forward to it, to reading with you tomorrow. So until next time, thanks.